If you feel like you get stuck, overwhelmed, and spiral when things get difficult, you are not alone. As business owners, we often face those moments where decisions feel impossible, emotions are running high, and clarity is just nowhere to be found. But what if I told you there was a way to cut through that chaos? Today, we're going to dive into a presentation that I did at a live event where I talked about three powerful strategies that not only help you regain control, but transform how you approach challenges, no matter how big they might be or small they might seem. We're going to explore how to shift from reaction to objective decision making and response. We're going to talk about why curiosity is the ultimate antidote to self judgment, which all of us have. And we're going to talk about the incredible impact of seeing every action as part of the bigger picture. By the end of the video, you're going to have the tools to turn even some of the most challenging days and most challenging moments into stepping stones for growth. Stick around. This is not just a business lesson. This is about becoming the best version of you. Enjoy.
Let's talk about when things get difficult or when things are feeling difficult. I'm really important with my language is really important. What I've noticed more than anything is when things get difficult, and I alluded to this in the first slide, when things get difficult, we get really subjective, we get really emotional with our decision making. We have a lot of trouble as business owners getting to an objective place of making a decision that's good for the short term and the long term. Making a logical, conscious, intentional decision. So the number one thing we have to do is, first of all, get objective. I'll give you a few more here: data and drama, curiosity, and creating a string of pearls. When we get stressed, we over-focus on the outcome. We over-focus on what we cannot control. We panic. Right, Simon? We under-focus on the things that are within our control. Processes, the action steps, getting back to what we know works. And that leads us down a path of emotional spirals, not positive things, right? And I recently heard Matthew McConaughey on Ed Milet's podcast. I cannot wait to meet Matthew McConaughey. It's just going to be an awesome day. And he said, he reframed this really well. You tend to shoot the best golf score when you're walking off the 18th green and walking towards the next tee, and the person you're golfing with has to tap you on the shoulder and say, "We're done. We're done the round." He used to say that they would say that's a wrap on the movie set, and he'd be like, "All right, cool, see you guys tomorrow." And they're like, "No, that's a wrap on the movie." He was just so focused on the process. He was so focused on the action steps. He was so focused on the things within his control. All that's within my control is I show up and do my job. All the other stuff is outside of my control. So this is how we can get objective, is focus on the things that are within our control. Data versus drama. I'm going to shout out Marcy Tran here. 2 weeks ago, we had a call, and I was talking about getting more information about this problem that she was having, and she said this great quote: "If I'm feeling gridlocked, I go gather more information. The answers come as I get more information." Greg talked about this yesterday. When we don't have all the information, it's an open loop and we fill it with our stories. We become awesome storytellers when we don't have all the information. We love to close the loop with a great, usually very dramatic story about what's happening. So when you're making decisions, especially when things are difficult, are you using objective information, or are you relying on your opinions or others' opinions to make that decision? Usually when you're relying on opinions, it's coming from an emotional place, and it's probably coming from a place that's low vibration, that's low on the emotional guidance scale that Dr. Tate showed us yesterday, right? It puts us into scarcity mode. Takes us out of creativity mode. So how much data do you have? If you're having a problem in any of these areas in your business, you're concerned about lead generation, how much data do you have on it? If you're concerned about the sales process, I had a client come in, Carl. His first call with me, he said, "I need help with sales. I'm not a very good salesperson." I said, "Oh, okay. What's your close rate?" And he looked at me with a blank stare. How many people do you have to get on a call to close one person? I don't know, 5 maybe 20%. Maybe I'm at 20%. I said, "Okay, do you have data to back that up?" No. Okay, cool. So I made him a really simple spreadsheet. It was like, how many people have you reached out to this week? How many clarity calls? How many sales calls? How many closes? Just simple. And then it was a percentage. 2 months of tracking, 38%. He thought he was 20%. Carl was a good salesperson, and he was selling over minimum 10K offers. He's a good salesperson. He didn't have enough information, so he thought he was a bad salesperson. What he really needed was more like he needed to bring more leads in. He needed to book more calls because he's closing at 38%, right? Your fulfillment process. Do you have clear KPIs on what a successful fulfillment looks like, successful delivery looks like? Do you have clear, like, do not pass go moments in your program? If you have a product, is there clear KPIs on the feedback that you're getting from the product? With your team, I can't believe how many of my clients that I've coached bring people on without clear KPIs, without clear roles and responsibilities of what the expectation is. Craig talked about this yesterday as well. Your expectations and their expectations are completely different, yet we get mad when they don't meet our expectations. Make it really clear what the expectations are. Then you have data. And then actually, Chad's a great story of this. Chad brought on essentially 2 assistants. And I said, give them a probation period of 60 days and get really clear on the KPIs, on how they're going to win and stay with you. And he brought them in, and they were okay. He did the KPIs. He looked at it. They suck. They didn't hit any of the KPIs at all. So when he had the conversation with him, because if you guys met Chad last night, pretty nice guy. He doesn't like to make people mad. It wasn't an emotional decision for him. It wasn't an emotional conversation. It was like, here, I'm going to slide this piece of paper across the table. Do you think you should stay with me? Do you think that you're a good fit? Here's your KPIs that we laid out day 1. No? Okay. We're not going to move forward. It's simple. It also makes it easy if, someone comes and asks for a raise. Okay, well, let's look at the KPIs. Have you outperformed them? Yeah, you have. Okay. Yeah, you deserve it. Let's make it happen. Focusing on data removes the drama from decision making. Curiosity. How many of you guys judge yourselves? 2 hands up. We're high performers. Our entire life has been based on judging ourselves and judging us against other people. That's how we've gotten to where we are. And it works really, really well until it stops working. And then it starts handcuffing you. It actually makes things harder. And the only antidote for the poison of self-judgment is curiosity. It's an excellent antidote. You take something that, a self-judgmental statement like, I'm a bad salesperson. If you can just turn that into a question, I wonder if I'm a bad salesperson or if that was just a bad sales call. What if I'm just becoming a better salesperson? Could I improve this skill? You see how that changes the feeling around it rather than just I suck? Getting curious, and then even getting curious about systems that might not be working, or if your lead generation process isn't working or whatever, get curious about it. Ask questions, because all of us have our brains work really well at solving problems. But a lot of times we don't give them the right problems to solve. We don't ask the right question. If we can ask our brain the right question, it's going to solve the problem. It's really good at that. So get curious, ask questions, and it's going to go to work even behind the scenes solving the problem. And the last one, when it comes to things feeling difficult, is a string of pearls. This is from Phil Stutz. So if you guys have seen the Netflix documentary, Jonah Hill documentary, it's called Stutz, and it's his therapist, and he has this thing called string of pearls. And it's essentially that it's very similar to the infinite game, that every single action step in your life, every single action step in your business is like putting one pearl on the string of pearls. And none of them are more or less valuable than the other ones, right? So getting up with your alarm, piece of evidence, right? Making a big sale, piece of evidence. Ending your day when you say you're going to end your day, piece of evidence, right? And this goes back to the subconscious beliefs that we've talked about a lot. The best way to change your subconscious beliefs and to change your identity is to look for evidence. So you've constantly got to be looking for every little shred of evidence that you are becoming the person that you say you are, that you are becoming the person that you know is going to lead to success. That's what Ring of Pearls is all about. Take one action, put one foot in front of the other, keep moving forward, and always going, good job, good job, good job. I'm on the path. Because that keeps you on the path and that speeds you up along the path.